In this video, I really want to discuss whether or not you should be excited about the My Hero Academia Season 6 anime, right? And what has changed over the last year in preparing for the new season of My Hero Academia, where my place has been with a month to go before the season releases. So, should you be hyped for My Hero Academia Season 6? Hit it! So I think to answer the question of whether or not you should be excited or hyped for My Hero Academia Season 6, we have to look at the pros and cons, right? The good and the bad, and sort of compare the situation that we're in this year versus the situation that we found ourselves in last time around with Season 5 of My Hero Academia. So I'm gonna go one good thing and one bad thing, and hopefully they even out, or maybe the good things outweigh the bad things. The first good thing that I'll say, the first reason to be excited about My Hero Academia Season 6 is going to be that there is no, at the time of this video at least, there's no confirmation that we're getting a My Hero Academia movie 4, right? Or at least anytime around the release of this season. And now I mention that because a lot of people like to say, oh, because we're getting a movie, you know, this season's not going to look as good because people are going to be busy or this and that. Well, at the very least, those people now can put their worries to the side because it does seem like we're not getting another movie anytime soon, right? Maybe we'll get one next year, but that'll probably be after this season has already aired. And I don't know, movies are in the pipeline for a long time. So if there's another movie even in production right now, I'm sure that that would affect this season by those standards, I suppose. But all in all, being 1 month out from a season of My Hero Academia without the announcement of a movie or any of those sort of worries definitely feels good, and it takes me back. Now, reason number one to maybe be worried about this season of My Hero Academia is that this arc presents some very, very difficult to animate sequences, right? It's going to be hard to see how they're going to tackle a lot of the stuff that happens in this arc. I mean, we've seen the answer to a certain extent in the trailer that was recently released with all the CGI going on and Shigaraki's decaying scenes. I really don't mind it. I think that's actually a very, very smart and effective use of CGI, and shout out to the CGI team. They do actually do very creative and great work that looks good and often fits into the visual of the anime without being too obvious. But there's just a lot of sections in this arc that we're coming up on, the All-Out War or the Paranormal Liberation War. After seeing how they've struggled in previous seasons of certain things, it has me very worried, you know? Like, there's parts of the Shigaraki versus Deku and Endeavor and everyone fight that I think they're going to struggle with a little bit. There's parts of the battle against Makia that I think they're going to struggle with a little bit. I think there's just a few moments in the season that could really, really get hairy to animate, right? It could be a little difficult. And I remember they were already having a hard time last season. Horikoshi is kind of throwing out any regard he has, right, for the team over at Bones with what he's drawing in the manga, right? He's like, hey, I'm going to do whatever I'm doing over here. Figure out some way to adapt it, please. You know, cut wherever you have to cut, do what you got to do. But I'm going to give everyone the raw, crazy, you know, this might look like it's going to be hard to animate, but I'm just going to go full throttle in the manga. And I'm just worried that now that we've gotten to some of that material, you know, in the anime, it's time to see how they're going to put up or shut up, you know? So that's one reason that I would be a little worried about this season, just knowing what material is coming and knowing the care and knowing like how much is going to be on screen in certain times and just all the craziness that's going on. I'm worried that it's going to be very, very difficult to keep up with the level of animation that it's going to take to adapt all of that. Not correctly, but right, I guess in the way that I would prefer. Reason number two to be excited about the season, though, is so far, everything we've seen has been very, very solid from the animation department and even the art style department, right? I know in trailers, they're going to show you the good stuff. They're not going to show you the bad stuff. And we fall for this trick every time, right? Where we see a couple good trailers and we're like, oh, this looks like it's going to be great. But this season is a little different in the fact that the war arc is probably going to take a good chunk of the entire season, right? It's a decently long arc. I don't see them cramming it all into 12 episodes. I see it being more like 16, 18, you know, not 20 necessarily, but like including the hospital bits, probably 18 or something episodes. So unlike last season where a lot of the trailers focused on the joint training arc, right? And the joint training was only half of the season. And of course that half of the season was going to get a lot of love and a lot of attention and look really great. And they were able to trick us that way. This arc seems like it's going to take up most of the season, and some things that happen later on in the arc that we're seeing in the trailers still look as good as some of the things that happen early on in the arc. And we saw them go crazy with the Mirko scenes and everything, and that looks like it's going to be spectacular when that should be happening in like episode 1 or 2, so that makes sense. But there are other moments in the trailer that at least clue to me that things are going to be fairly consistent, and if not consistent throughout like the entire thing, at least it'll hold together long enough for us to get these key moments looking fairly polished, as a lot of the shots have in the trailer. And I know a lot of people have pointed out like the thin kind of line art and stuff like that. I wonder if by the time the anime comes out, they might even, enhance some of that, because there have been very, very small changes between some of the cuts in the original trailer and the current trailer that we've seen again. So it seems like they are clearly still working on every shot, trying to improve every shot, changing the lighting of shots and doing certain things. So let's see what they end up landing on when the season comes back. My second reason to maybe be nervous about this season of My Hero Academia is how they're going to handle the events after the war arc, right? It's really, really hard to try to figure out where to end this season when you don't know how many chapters the war arc is going to take up, right? Because there's a lot that goes on immediately after the war arc, with not a lot of break for the heroes and the villains to kind of cool down and settle down. So depending on how the season goes, we could go into the Dark Deku arc, right? We could go into various things. We could end on maybe Star and Stripe, and all of this means nothing to anime onlys, right? But I'm just mentioning names, I'm not spoiling anything. But we could maybe get to those points in the story, which I guess is also another reason to be excited when you think about it. So I guess we could put 3 in that category. But I think that I'm worried that, like, I don't know, we know that now Bones has it in them to switch arcs, right? And I just feel like they would do something like, oh, we can't do the whole Dark Deku arc in this season, but we could fit in maybe the Prison Breaks and Star and Stripe, right? Or we could fit in the Prison Break section and then we'll skip Dark Deku for now. Or we'll like, I just don't want them to do something weird like that, right? So that is my main concern. That more so just comes from what they did last season with My Villain Academia. And I'm just hoping we're not put in that situation where they start moving arcs around or moving content around in weird ways that doesn't really make sense and messes with the flow that Horikoshi intended for the manga. But I think that's really the last thing that I can say I'm concerned about for the anime that, it's not something that I've accepted, right? I mean, the backgrounds are bad. Y'all suck with these coffee stain backgrounds, but it's okay. It is what it is. I've accepted that the backgrounds in My Hero Academia are always going to look pretty awful, and that's not a negative against this upcoming season in this video, right, on the list. So I guess we have 3 potentially positive things that we're going to like about the season and 2 potentially negative things that could be going on in the season. So overall, I think it is very possible to be hyped for this season of My Hero Academia, right? I think I'm definitely excited. I've come to the point where I'm excited, and I was hating, right? I was saying, there's no way I'm going to get excited for this season after what they did to My Villain Academia. Bones is dead to me, right? They're done. But they've done the work and they've shown a lot of progress, and there's no movie announcement and everything is looking really good. And I don't know, I'm just back at the point where I'm hyped for more My Hero Academia. Maybe it's just because it's been so long and I know it's coming in a month or so and I just wanted to get here, but I feel good about it. And now I'm throwing the question to you guys. Do you think you should be hyped for My Hero Academia Season 6? And if not, why? What's worrying you? Is this something that I mentioned in this video? And do you think the positives outweigh the negatives, or do you think the negatives outweigh the potential positive? I personally think you should be excited for My Hero Academia Season 6 because, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff coming, but understandable if you're not, because I too was scarred from last season. So let's see what you guys have to say in the comment section below. I'll see you guys later. It's Pineapple. Please check out my video telling you how many chapters My Hero Academia Season 6 is going to cover right here, link below in the comment section and description. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.